Hello, my lovelies. I'm Ginny O, the author with no last name, and today I want to talk about Star Stable. And I want to talk about how Star Stable's financial situation was not inevitable. In my last Star Stable video about 6 months ago, I put on the end that I really didn't want to make another Star Stable video unless something really egregious happened or new information was brought to light. And a lot of the stuff that has been going on in the past 6 months is, while it seems egregious, it's actually just a continuation of the pattern that Star Stable has had for the last 6-7 years. And I really don't want to make videos on the same topics every single year when Star Stable yet again messes up. That would make me feel like a, drama channel and not an informational channel. However, Rattle, with the help of Zaap, was able to find some financial statements from 2021 to 2023 about Star Stable. You have to remember that in 2020, Nordisk bought more Star Stable shares, upping their shares to 57%. And I believe Nordisk is a publicly held company, and so they actually have to broadcast their financial status, in general. So they have to put that out there. So Zaap and Rattle were able to find that, and it has come to light from their video that Star Stable is roughly $5 million in debt. They are not making money now. They are now taking out loans to cover the shortfalls of them not bringing in enough money to cover what is apparently 29 million to 36 million US dollars a year it takes to run Star Stable online. So if you have not seen Rattle's video, I will put a link to Rattle below, to that video below, and I will also put a link to Zaap's channel, and so you can check both of them out. But I specifically want to talk about this revenue shortfall, this being in debt, was not inevitable. Okay? We, the player base, have been talking about this, I believe, kind of loudly since, it started rumbling in 2018, got a little louder in 2019, and things exploded in 2021, and it's not like we haven't been talking to them. So this was a series of choices that Star Stable has made over the years. This wasn't, happening by accident. So some of these choices include not having the right employees, the going to mobile, putting in distraction content. The engine is dying due to massive technical and infrastructure debt. They seemingly can't merge servers, and they have some really bad marketing and customer service. Some of this type of stuff I have gone over in previous videos, like Star Stable branding and things like that. But these are a series of choices done by the upper management. Hey, they decided to do this despite the fandom. I mean, I think in 2022, around 2022, I even did a survey that got like 2,000 responses, which is quite a lot for, me only having 500 people on my YouTube, to say, hey, this is what we want, with, pie charts, and like there was it started leveling out about 200 responses. So that video is also on my channel farther back. Okay, so in 2018, 2019, when the rumblings of discontent started and the first boycott kind of started, the fandom asked for four things. We asked for main story updates. We asked for map expansions. We stood up for the employees and asked for engine, infrastructure, and coding fixes. And we also asked for less horses. These were, four simple but not simple things. And the management of Star Stable, the corporate suite, responded by apparently ignoring us, to the point now where I'm not sure, even if they tried to change course, if they would be able to do it, because you're in a $5 million hole. Okay? So the first thing that they've made a choice on is they made this choice not to have the right employees. Okay? There is no narrative design team. And, this came out in 2021. I think in 2022 or 2023, Stacy came out again and said she doesn't understand why people were so upset about her saying this. But there's not a group of people in the studio who are consistently together in a room working on story and working on world building. So when they got together to work on something, say like Camp Western, and they're exchanging all these stories and everything, there's nobody in the room that apparently has narrative plot experience to be able to take these stories and create a story arc out of them. Because even festivals need lore, they need story, they need an arc. What are you doing? What is your goal to be fun and entertaining? Like Christmas, the original Christmas was fun and entertaining because you had this kind of massive goal of, let's set Jorvik up for Christmas and run around in the snow, and you're going to get a deer powder at the end of it so you can be a deer, and you get this really cool kind of Christmassy outfit that became less cool as time went on. But you had a massive goal and you had an impact on the world. Even Halloween was kind of neat because you were finding all the ghosts and stuff, which could have been expounded on a little more. They did a little with the soul shards, but like Halloween, the second or third iteration of Halloween was actually kind of better than the first one, but they didn't have to remove the first stuff to have this new stuff type of thing. But so there's no story team sitting around and working out the lore and the story. So, you have all these people who are just throwing stuff like in the kitchen sink in there, like vampires. And I'm going to blame the 2016 crew for Frankenstein. The original crew is to blame for that. But, the vampires and the Zelda horses, and eventually, it gets very, very so dispersed that we don't know what's going on, and they don't seem to know what's going on either. And it doesn't help that the rest of the teams, because there is no narrative design team, but the rest of the teams aren't set up properly either. As far as I can tell, there is not a coding pipeline and there's not an art pipeline. So, your art is not going from concept artist to the texture and modeler and to the animator, and through all the little departments down to the point where it's ready to go in the game to be used by the the people who are setting up the world. And the coders and everything like that who are setting up all the races and doing all the mechanics, and they're all they merge together and trying to put the story together type of thing. Those just don't appear to be there. So it is really difficult for Stacy to be able to schedule people onto these teams when there's nobody to cover for them when you have a team of people who are like integral to a project, instead of having them set up into departments where somebody else, if that person goes and somebody in that department goes on vacation, somebody else can just like jump in and like do that job for that week, type of thing, without having to worry so much about projects being, put off because, hey, that will be planned ahead of time. But again, there doesn't seem to be a plan either. Stacy came out in September 2023 to say that 2023 was the first year that they had a full year plan. And they didn't make everything in their full year plan either. But before that, they had been working on quarterly plans. They had even worked on month-to-month plans, but they don't have a yearly plan, and they don't have a 5-year plan. And if you're making something that's as big as an MMO RPG or an MMO single-player persistent world game with multiplayer elements to it, you have to have a plan. And I think this lack of planning has been going on since 2011 when they decided to make an MMO, and we're like, oh, how hard could it be, ha ha ha, type of thing, because that's what comes off in some of the magazine reports. So there's no plan. Another choice they made was they decided to go to mobile. So a lot of the resources that could have gone into the PC game, employees that could have been hired to work on the PC game, instead employees were hired to translate the game's code to mobile. This means you have to have you have to do a pipeline setup when you're doing the coding. You have to do a pipeline setup to compress the art. You have to, connect everything to servers. It's, and because they want the PC gamers to be able to play with the mobile players, it's a massive headache, and they have spent 6-7 years on this and have finally gotten like 95% of Android. I don't know, 50, 75. They spent a lot of time and a lot of money on this, and sure, it's convenient to go to your coffee shop and be able to play Star Stable on your mobile phone or your tablet or your iPad. However, this convenience has come at a cost of development into the game itself, and now your game, because it has to be played on mobile with mobile controls and limited screen space and there's no keyboard, you're going to have a lot more limited mechanics. So your convenience has come at a cost of a more vibrant, robust game. Okay? And because they were going for a younger and younger audience, they decided to put in distraction content. They think that we are easily distracted by, oh, shiny, that, they can put things in that aren't main story content and that aren't, map extensions, and we'll be happy. Distraction content is the horses and new races. And I know a lot of you are very happy with the horses and new races, but a lot of us are also very bored of horses and new races. There's nothing else to do, and the horses aren't special anymore, and we want the horses to feel special. Okay? They put in a lot of horizontal progression, a lot of grind stuff. It looks like they're putting in some type of battle pass. I don't care what you think it is, but it looks like a battle pass. Everybody I've shown it to who has any gaming experience outside of Star Stable goes, that's a battle pass. They're putting in all this type of stuff, horizontal progression stuff, that's not giving us any skills. It's just giving us stuff to, try to distract us, to give us something to do to distract us from the fact that, we're not going up against Garnock. We don't have a real conflict with these Dark Riders. There's never been a real good conflict established. Like, we're told Sabine is bad, Katya is bad, but we've never really seen them be bad. Have you noticed that? They put in a lot of exploration mechanics, which is, the flowers, the spiders, the stars, the token, the Brinicle, no, it was a bee name, the little donkey one, the donkeys themselves, the butterflies. All this stuff is to distract you from the fact that the main game is not progressing forward. And then they also do a lot of unexplored concepts. I want to say the horizontal progression was kind of an unexplored concept, the dressage, and they do untested systems, which ends up leading to normal players who don't have a lot of time to play being punished as these systems are changed to take longer, be harder, there's less experience given or less reputation given, or you know, they increase how much you need to do to get to the next level. Um, and this, so the players who were able to go through it really, really fast have, you know, they're done, but the players, normal players, feel like they were being punished for what the, you know, grind players are doing. And then distraction content is also heavy focus on wallpaper like textures and shaders. People are like, oh, they gave us a new character. Well, yes, that is kind of necessary. We did need a character update, but at the same time, it didn't progress the game forward. There's nothing new that we can do with these characters. Okay, they blink and they smile, which is kind of creepy. Um, you know, but there's nothing, you know, really, really new with them that's going on right now that makes the game, you know, more immersive and interesting, I guess. You know, like maybe now that they have it, they'll be able to set up for the character to do more in the future. I don't know. But, and the same thing with like the water shaders. I'm glad you're happy that they have new water shaders, or that Silverglade Village has been revamped, or the, you know, the racetrack is fine. Well, the racetrack was actually story progression, yay. But, or, you know, this, that, or the other thing. But it's not progressing the game, right? Now, part of this issue of them not being able to progress the game is something that we were asking them for a long time. We wanted them to fix their dying engine. You know, they have a lot of massive technical, that's coding problems, and infrastructure debt, aka, you know, these are coding problems. The engine is old. The code is like 3 different types of C++. You know, so you have this a really hard pipeline because you have to teach people the engine. The engine's hard to use. You have to do a whole bunch of workarounds to get, you know, modern Maya documents and stuff, Maya files and other files to work with it. So there's a massive amount of debt. And I have a theory that this massive amount of debt means right now they can't focus on moving forward until they recode early quests or remove them. For instance, they just removed Cloud Kingdom for now, supposedly. We don't know what this means. And it could be because Cloud Kingdom was its own little thing, and it's easy to move that out of the code versus trying to, you know, spend the time to recode it, because they also have to recode the main quests, because the main quests hook the players to, you know, go past level 5 and pay for the game. And so they can't remove those main quests. So this is going to take time away from making new quests, and it's going to take time away from doing festivals. I also feel that this technical infrastructure debt might be also the reason why we're not getting new map expansions. The new unoptimized map with more polys is more of a strain on the engine than the old map, and we might have reached maximum map capacity, because, you know, not only do we have this, it's not really a big map, but we also have all these things hanging out outside the world bubble, you know, outside the skybox. Okay, so you've got, you know, you've got your home stable outside the skybox, you've got your Yorvik City outside the skybox, you've got all these festivals with other places outside the skybox: Cloud Kingdom, Gallopers Keep, Winter Village, and some of them have been redone, like they redid Winter Village. I don't know if that was a recode or just a retexture, but like, this is a strain on the engine and on, you know, on the server and database infrastructure. So the good news is that they're focusing on recoding the engine from PX Studio into Stellaris, and they're working on recoding the early quests and things like that. And they're working on their infrastructure and their databases in order to create things that you want, like this wardrobe expansion and the UI updates. So you can have role-playing things that, and other things that other games consider standard. But this also kind of goes back to the beginning where they didn't have a plan. So the databases and stuff were not, and the infrastructure wasn't set up with all this kind of stuff in mind to make it flexible enough that they could do this. I mean, the UI was just JPEGs, for goodness sakes. It was not an SVG kind of vector document that they could add on new paths really quickly and, make it expand and contract, because, it's just the paths moving, not the pixels. So it's means that there is a new Glassdoor April 2024 review up, and from the looks of what I can see, there are people, because they are finally focusing on the technical debt and they are finally focusing on this infrastructure stuff, there are people there going, hey, we really don't have much to do. It's hard for, we have to find stuff to do, like, we don't have some stuff we can do because they have to fix all this. And, it's not fair to them. And no, it isn't fair to them, though I would hope that they would either talk to a manager or have some initiative and find something to do. Another thing I have noticed that is part of this kind of infrastructure debt problem is it seems they can't move servers. Or they can't merge servers. I'm sorry, not move servers, merge servers. So when you merge a server, you take the data from one server, you move it to another server, and then you shut that server down. So that the two servers are now one server, so you have it. And what this requires is a type of a batch program. It's a program that goes in and it reads the entire database, and it compresses all the information in that database. And so you run it on that database to grab all the information, and then you run it again on the database in the other server to disseminate all that information into the other server, into all the appropriate places. This is called a batch program. So they either don't have a batch program, or they don't have somebody, available to make a batch program, or this just, I don't know if there's something else they could do and it hasn't occurred to them. But when I see players, they have talked to customer service and they have asked to move regions, and customer service says, oh, we can't do that. See, that's exactly what it requires. It would take a batch program to grab all their information out of the database, kind of almost automatically. They put in, their email and their username, which is, your identifier information. The batch program would go pick all that up, and then you'd go over to the other database and toss them in there. Now they can seemingly, move you within the game itself, but I don't think they can move you between regions. And I'm not sure, you can manually move between servers, between regions. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but it just seems that they can't merge servers. So this is not only is this infrastructure debt coding wise, this is also financial strain. So we have a lot of servers. There's 13 very low population servers, whereas there's 17 medium population servers and 2 high population servers. So you've got 19 that probably are fine, and then you have, I believe there's close to 104. So you have close to somewhere around 80 servers that need examination and go through the users and delete ones that need to be deleted, and collapsed, merged with other servers to reduce that financial strain. But I don't know if they can actually do it. I have a theory they can't, but they aren't doing it, and they should be doing it, and that would increase, server people on the server capacity type of thing. And lastly, they have been like almost chasing players away with bad marketing and bad customer service. So there are like way too many marketing employees, in my opinion. I can only find under 100 employees that are devs, and there are 222 employees at Star Stable, according to Rocket Reach, and I believe many of them are in the marketing, HR, legal type of section. So at least half of them are people trying to promote the game, and just and maybe customer service. I don't know if it feels like they don't have enough customer service, or they don't have enough customer service training, one of the two, or they're using customer service as one of their services that they're shelling out money for. So there's too many marketing employees, and the ones that we see a lot of have this kind of attitude of, hey there, fellow kids. So it's really hard to watch. And if they're not doing like the hey there fellow kids type marketing, where they're doing like these little, the races around Star Stable headquarters on little horses, or they're doing skits or something, or they're, oh, the bad weather fake news reports, they have bad ads and false ads. So they have artificial intelligence ads that look like they're from artificial intelligence, because they just don't have anything to do with Star Stable at all. Like the gameplay has nothing to do with what really goes on in Star Stable. Or they're blatantly false advertisements. A lot of their picture advertisements can be false advertisement. Here you are hugging your horse. Here you are cuddling with your horse. Here's a pet that's landing on your arm. Here's the kelpies coming out of the water type of thing. So there's people come to Star Stable and they see these ads, and they'll do ads with the new horses and the brand new tack, and okay, so the game is free to play, and they come in and they find out that they have to spend over $100 to get the horse and the tack and the ads, plus having to pay for the game. That's included in the over $100. And so, and they're like, oh, it's free when they look at it on Google, or they look at it in the Apple Store, and they don't see that it's free to play to level 5. So they feel that, they've been lied to, and they hit a paywall and they leave, they don't come back. And when you're doing customer service and you're not allowing refunds, and you're doing exchanges, and there's no changing of the email easily, people get rightfully upset. And there needs, and this is again a coding issue, there needs to be work on the coding and server and infrastructure issue, so that there are ways to like verify your account. Like, okay, so you want to change your email, all right, well, your email is your parents, so you can't do like a separate verification email, to go, this is okay, or you've lost access to the email. There's no, here, let's add your, like, they can't keep kids' phone numbers. They're not supposed to have kids' phone numbers. I mean, I don't even think they're supposed to have the emails. And so it's not like we can do a 2-factor authentication where, you send them an email and they text your phone and you're like, yep, that's me, and I'm just changing my email type of thing. So you have to go through this back and forth with them, and kids will lie about their birth dates. They might not remember the day they bought it. This is something from 10 years ago. There has to be a better way. So and then, people will be like, stuff is missing, and Star Stable is like, oh, we can't find it, or, there's no record of you actually buying it, and you go back and forth, and you go back and forth, and it just becomes this terrible rigmarole where you feel like you're being blamed for something that is probably a problem on their end because of bad coding. And lastly, like here in the bad marketing and customer service, the prices are too high. Um, the prices are just too high, especially in higher GDP countries. And people don't understand why on mobile prices are higher on mobile than they are on the PC. It's because Apple and Android want their cut. um, and parents get upset when they come and they're like, oh, this is a children's horse game, a horse should be like $5, and no, it's $30. you know and then they look at, okay, maybe the subscription fee of $8 a month, that's reasonable. But you know a lot of parents are going to do a pause before putting down $90 on what they think is a children's game that their child might not play for more than a year. And I don't blame them. So there needs to be some sort of reevaluation of the pricing structure. Because, look, if a horse was $5, I'd probably be shelling out more money for microtransactions. That's actually how it works, okay? That's the psychology behind it. So they make these choices. When we asked for main story update and map expansions and engine and infrastructure and coding fixes and less horses, they chose to not have a narrative design team to give us those story quests. They chose to go to mobile and take resources away from the PC game, and so they weren't able to do those technical fixes. They put in a lot of distraction content to try to make us not realize there's no main story quests. And they put in more horses instead of less horses. And their engine is dying due to the massive technical debt and infrastructure debt, so much so that they've put it off so long that they might not be able to fix it in time, to get the money back. And it seems that they can't merge the servers and reduce the strain, which goes back to their lack of coding problems, that we asked them to do. Like, make up a batch file so people can be moved easily between region servers, and that you can be flexible with your servers. Buy as many as you need when you need them, and then when you don't need them, you can merge them and let them go for later time. Or merge servers and have servers available so you can make another game. And then their bad marketing and customer service are driving people away, because we don't like, adults who contact them don't like being talked to like children. And there's so many marketing employees versus dev employees. So it feels kind of crazy, what they did, and just the attitude that we get off of them. It's we're family, but we're a toxic, dysfunctional family type of thing. Especially with the too high prices. We're just people asking for a good service. We're asking them to do what they said they were going to do in 2011 and make a good game, and they're not doing it. So these were choices. They were some interesting choices on the part of corporate, I guess, that leads us to, we told them, us long-term players who were here early on in the first 5 years, we told them, if you do this, we will leave. And, or if you please give us this stuff, or else we will find other games to play that are good. And they just chose to do other things. This didn't happen by accident, okay? This is not something that, oh no, we're suddenly losing money. They chose to do these things against all the wishes of the very vocal older players who were like, hey, if you do this stuff, we will shell out more money and continue supporting your game. Because that's how live service works. If you have a live service game and you really love it, you will be that live service game for life type of person. That's just how it is. All right. So I hope that helped explain. Take care of yourselves, my lovelies. Stay safe, bless, and I'll see you in another video.